Hey guys, Magnus here. I probably should have changed this title, but I kind of hinted to this video in my last video where I said I was going to do something a bit different. And this is my top 40 characters that I think should be added to Tapped Out. Now, of course, I've done this video in the past where I've gone through my top 20. The only issue with this is the only character from my last top 20 list that has been added is Titania. So the list has obviously changed a little bit, the actual top 20, but it hasn't really changed too much. So those 19 other characters who were in my top 20 are still in the top 19. It's just that someone has now moved to number 20. So what I decided to do instead is give you a top 40, give you 20 extra characters that I think should be added. So we're going to go through those top 40 and then we'll briefly just kind of breeze over my top 20 list one last time. So number 40 is Beatrice Simmons. So of course this is Grandpa's girlfriend. In quite an early episode, I think she was a real sweet character. I think it'd be cool to have her in the game. I definitely think there's some interesting things they could do. I think they could probably do an entire mini event based around her and add her in the game. So, yeah, Beatrice Simmons is number 40. Number 39 is definitely Myra. Myra is the sort of sarcastic secretary for Skinner. I really love the dynamic between her and Bart, and I think they could do something really interesting with her in the game. So that's why I kind of think she should be added. Not sure what building or what sort of event she could be added in. I guess if they were to do something school themed, they could add her in, but really she'd be a tricky one to kind of throw in there, but I still would like to see her. Number 38 is Doug the cameraman. A bit of an unusual one, but I found him I'm oddly intrigued by his character because we see him a lot just acting as the cameraman for various film studios, and every time they need a cameraman, Doug's just thrown in there. So I think it'd be interesting to see Doug in the game. Again, they could do something pretty wacky for his quest line, and I'm sure there's plenty of things they could add him in. Obviously, anything film themed, like a superhero. If they were to do like a superhero event, they could maybe throw him in there. Like a reality TV show. If they were to do some sort of episode tie-in, he could be thrown in there with like a random film studio. There's plenty of ways they could add this guy in. Number 37 is a Treehouse of Horror themed character, and that's the Golem of Prague. I know he's not particularly, the actual segment he's from is not that particularly interesting, and I kind of agree with that. I think it's not one of the, it's definitely a weak, well, I wouldn't say it's a weaker segment, but it's certainly not an amazing segment, Treehouse of Horror segment, but I really enjoyed the character. There was something about him, it was just kind of funny. I think there's definitely potential to add him as a full playable character. There could be an interesting quest line. There's obviously the little flashback where he's made, there's that little church, synagogue that he can be added with. So, yeah, there's plenty potential to be added. Obviously, the perfect event would be anything Treehouse of Horror theme to throw him in there. He could be thrown in as a Gills deal, premium, or in the prize track. It doesn't really matter. I would like his wife as well, but I want him more than his wife. So, yeah, Golem of Prague's 37. 36 is Cowboy Bob, Season 1 character, really funny. Obviously, perfect event for him is anything. If they were to base an event of the episode, they're called The Simpsons, they could add him in there. They could throw him in like some sort of vehicle-themed event if they want to do that. Obviously, he can be added with his roundup, his Bob's RV roundup, the little RV shop that he owns. So yeah, that's Cowboy Bob. Number 35 is Loren Pryor. Of course, this is the Springfield Elementary psychiatrist, a character who has definitely not been seen in a long, long time, but I found him quite entertaining. I think he's a cool enough character. Obviously, they could throw him into a school-themed update or in the prize track something. I think it was Uta on Discord, the user called Uta or Edible Pigs. He, I think, made was it him or was it someone else? Someone, anyway, made a psychiatry-themed event, or was that something he had in the works? I'm not sure. But if they wanted to go down that route, then that could be quite interesting too. Number 34 is Miss Albright. Of course, this is the Sunday school teacher for the school. Again, the mischief between her and Bart was quite interesting. There could definitely be some interesting quest lines there. Again, in terms of what update, a religious-themed update maybe. She could be thrown in the prize track somewhere. They could throw with any random church, and I'd be happy with it. So, yeah, that's Mrs. Albright. Number 33 is Cora, the sarcastic diner, the sarcastic and often miserable-looking diner worker. Obviously, Cora's diner, her own diner, she can come with that. I think they could do some interesting things with her and Wigan, maybe. I think I added her in like an Elder event themed update that I came up with a while ago. I think she was in that update, so there's a perfect idea. But really, she could be thrown in at any time with her dining. Maybe Christmas, that could be a decent enough tie-in if they threw it into the store, maybe. Number 32 is Mr. and Mrs. Vanderbilt. So these are the posh characters. Now, I kind of want Mrs. Vanderbilt more than I want Mr. Vanderbilt. I think he was only in like 1 or 2 episodes. Mrs. Vanderbilt, though, is the sort of fainting woman, I guess. Kind of like almost like a little bit like Helen, I guess. Helen Lovejoy, in a sort of sense. This sort of snobby, upper class, fancy lady who can't handle the strifes of the real world. I don't know. I think she'd be a really funny character to throw in. And, if they gave us a husband as well, that'd be great. Number 31 is Laney Fontaine. I'm actually... Fontaine? I'm actually really surprised I haven't added her yet. She's sort of more of a modern Simpsons character, obviously, but I find her quite amusing. Obviously, there was that whole little rivalry between her and Chaz Busby, so I thought maybe they could have thrown her into the... like one of the Love Springfieldian style, but they didn't actually give us her. They gave us other characters instead. I think there was Vicky Valentine they gave us, but I think she would be a decent enough character to have. They could do some interesting things, especially with her. Didn't she like smoke out of her neck once, or am I thinking of something else? But yeah, I think she could be a really interesting character to throw in there. Number 30. Now this is a bit of an unusual one, but. And this is Spring King is partly to blame for this, but I really want the Cracker Factory Man into the game. Obviously, also known as Luann's father. Now, it's sort of loosely, it's not 100% confirmed, but they say that Luann's father owns the Cracker Factory, and then they show this guy as the owner of the Cracker Factory, so it kind of is implied that this is Luann's father, but he does look a little bit young to be Luann's father, so I'm a little iffy on it, but if they could confirm it, that would be great. There was obviously Frink's wife. We were never sure if that was actually Frink's wife, but I guess Tapped Out technically confirmed that was Frink's wife that we got recently. So they could always just confirm, yep, this is Luann's dad, move on. Yeah, I think he's like the one Van Houten we haven't got, and even if he's not a Van Houten, he still has that kind of connection to the Van Houten family. I recently did a while back, or a few months back, or a few weeks back, I forget how long it was now, I did a Cracker Factory themed update, and that will be a perfect way to add him. Number 29 is Jake, solely because we have Jake's hair place, but not Jake. Now, I know that we have Howard's Flowers, but we don't have Howard. But the difference there is Howard's Flowers was obviously a Valentine's Day update, and it comes back every Valentine's Day. But Jake's hair place is obviously a permanent building in the levels. So that's why I particularly want Jake. I think he's funny enough. He only really had that 22 short films about Springfield, but even in that, I found him kind of funny. So they could definitely do some interesting things there. I'm not sure how to add him. Adding him will be difficult. Obviously, they could possibly throw him into a prize track, but there's not any great building to add him with. The only other building they could add him with is his store had a different name in 22 short films about Springfield. I think it was like, I forget what it's called, but his store, basically, his hair place was called something different. So they could give us that as a separate building. But I'm pretty sure it's implied that it was renovated and it got turned into Jake's unisex hair place. But I don't know. They could just add him with that. I wouldn't care if they did. Number 28 is Fly Bart. Again, another Treehouse of Horror one. This is the Treehouse of Horror character I want the most. I am so annoyed. Every year, the Treehouse of Horror opens and they don't give me Fly Bart, and I get very mad. Fly Bart is just awesome. Look at him. He looks so cool. Now, if people want to argue with me that this should be a costume, you're wrong. Do you know why? Because the fly head, the fly's mind, is on Bart's body. Therefore, it shouldn't be a costume, because this is technically a separate character. I think it'd look awesome as hell. They could definitely do some hilarious animations, a great quest line. So much potential for this to be added in a Treehouse of Horror, so I hope they do it this upcoming year. Number 27 is Steve Mobs. A bit of an uncreative parody character, but he has appeared multiple times, and the fact that we've got all these Mackle buildings but not Steve Mobs is a little sad, actually. I kind of, we have the Maple HQ, we have the Maple store, but we have no Steve Mobs, and it's a little disappointing that we don't have him. So that's kind of the main reason why I'm sort of dying to have him, just to throw him in there. I think he's an interesting enough character. I think the parody is a little lame, I'm not going to lie, but I don't know. I think sometimes being quite blatant with your parody is also quite amusing. I think they could definitely do some interesting quest lines with him. Number 26 is State Comptroller? Is it Comptroller? Atkins. So, Atkins. Of course, this is the guy, the sort of dude who's in charge of the school district, or is it the whole state? Oh yeah, it'll be the state. So the state that Springfield resides in, he's in charge of like all the education, I guess, or at least a certain region. He's appeared in multiple episodes. I think mainly just to kind of get that, to complete the category of having everyone. We have Skinner, we have Superintendent Chalmers, we have Leopold. Let's get State Comptroller Atkins. Comptroller Atkins. Just to kind of complete that sort of higher education, like higher print. In the elementary school, the sort of higher ups. Number 25 is Emma, aka Señor Bumblebee Man. Now, this is Bumblebee Man's wife, who also appeared in 22 short films about Springfield. I think that was her debut. And obviously, she's the wife of Bumblebee Man, or the ex-wife now, I believe. And that's one reason why I want her added. But another reason is, holy hell, they made this woman into such a background character. She's like, I see her in the background all the time in modern Simpsons episodes. She's like a professional. So that's partially the main reason why I want her. She's appeared so much, and she's also Bumblebee Man's ex-wife, so why not get her? Number 24 is John. How have they done so many Pride events and not given us John? It's insulting to me. John, I think, is such a sweet character. Obviously, Homophobia was a great episode. I think, John is a great character. The fact that we haven't got John yet is it's a bit insulting to me, so that's why I want John. Number 23 is Just Stamp the Ticket Man. He's a bit of a meme, I'm not going to lie. I think some of the over-love of his character is a little annoying sometimes, but at the same time, I can't deny I would like him to be in the game, just because of how unusual and odd he is. I think it'd be great to see him in the game. So there you have it. I've pleased the fans. Just Stamp the Ticket Man. Number 22 is Email, mainly because we have all the rest of the Super Friends, so I want them to complete it. But I do want Ham more, so Ham is number 21. Number 22 Email, number 21 Ham. Yeah, I feel like we've got the rest of the Super Friends. We may as well complete the group now. I'm sort of dying for them to complete the group, and obviously the best update for that, probably, unfortunately, will be Game of Games, the sequel. Number 20 is Charlie. So he is the new number 20 on my list. And I think a lot of people told me, were like saying, why is Charlie not on there? He was number 21. I was just sort of waiting to add him on the list. But yeah, I definitely want Charlie. Obviously, one of the most memorable faces around the nuclear power plant. After Lenny and Carl and Homer, he is and I guess Burns and Smithers, he is the next most memorable face that you see around there a lot. So it'd be great to get Charlie in the game for sure. And then the rest is obviously my same list, so we'll just quickly go through it. Obviously, Jaffee, number 19, a kid that appears a lot. Number 18 is Alice Whitney. Obviously, she had her sort of spotlight episode with the little rivalry between her and Lisa, so I think she'd be great to have. Bashir bin Laden, I really love the episode that he comes in. Obviously, what was it called? My Pods and Boomsticks. The very tall man, a very sort of comical character, another... There's 22 short films about Springfield character, but he'd be great to have. Obviously, the 7 Duffs, I want all of them as playable characters, or at the very least NPCs. I would accept NPCs. I would accept like Surly as a playable character and the rest as NPCs, but I would prefer it if they were all playable characters. I don't accept those statues. Is all I'm saying. Obviously, number 14, the Weasels. They'd be great to have. Obviously, Nelson's right hand men. I think a 2-in-1 character is great for them. I don't think they need to be separate. A 2-in-1 character is fine. Number 13 is Barry Mackleberry. Obviously, this is Sherry and Terry's dad. We've got Sherry and Terry's mother, so I want to have their dad just to complete that family. As well, Martin Prince Sr., obviously Martin's dad. We've got Martin's mum, we got Martin, we need Martin's dad. Number 11 is Sarah Salan, I can never say this name. Obviously, Ned Flanders' girlfriend. We've got Rachel Jordan, we've got Maud, we've got Edna. Let's have Sarah. Number 10 is Larry Burns, obviously Mr. Burns' son. We haven't got him yet. What the hell? Number 9 is Sylvia Winfield and Mr. Winfield, obviously the Springfields' nosy neighbours, or I guess complaining neighbours. They haven't been in the show for so long, and they are technically retired characters. I believe they were officially retired. So adding them might be an issue, but I don't see why not, considering the voice actors are still alive. I know that Sylvia Winfield was voiced once by Tracy Ullman, but in the obviously she had appearances after that where she was voiced by someone else. I forget who it was. I think it's the person who I forget all the voice actors' names, but you know, the people that voice these two characters are still in the show, so I think, you know, they could easily add them to the game. I don't see what the issue would be. This might be an issue. Number 8, George Bush Sr. Now, I think out of all the presidents that have appeared in The Simpsons, the best presidential appearance is definitely George Bush Sr. I absolutely love the episode where George Bush moves in down the road. Now, obviously, the real George Bush Sr. only died very recently. I think was it 2 years ago now, 3 years ago? I'm not sure. So they may want to leave some time before they add him into the game, or they may actually not do it entirely. They might just not do it full stop because, you know, his son's still alive and his family's still alive. That's a potential, but I don't know. I still just really want him in the game. Number 7 is Bill and Marty. I would accept them as a 2-in-1. I know a lot of people don't like that, but I would accept them as a 2-in-1 or as separate characters. Either one I'd be fine with. But obviously, yeah, we've got KBBL, so why the hell haven't we got Bill and Marty? Number 6 is, of course, Richard, one of the most prominent kids. Definitely want to get him. Number 5 is Apu's Octuplets. We've got them as like animations, but I want them as full playable characters. An 8-in-1 would be awesome, or unless they really want to, they can add them all individually. But I think an 8-in-1 character could be really interesting, and I think it could work. Number 4 is Eddie Muntz. I just have like a new love for Eddie Muntz as a character, and I just think there's so much potential for him in Tapped Out, so that's why I badly want him in the game as number 4. Number 3 is Gil. I know Gil comes around to give us a deal, but I want him as a full playable character. He's a very, very prominent character. We used to have Sideshow Bob running around our town, and then eventually they gave us Sideshow Bob as a character, so it can be done, and it doesn't have to affect the deals. The deals can still come back. They can easily just make it so when Gil has a deal, he just has the question mark above his head, and once you've done that, you can send him on his tasks. Number 2 is Mod Flanders, and what I mean by this is the actual Mod Flanders. I know we have Mod Flanders Ghost, but we need the actual human version of Mod Flanders. It's so weird to me that we haven't got her yet. So I want Mod Flanders as an actual playable character, not just her ghost. The ghost can be a separate character, I don't care. And then number 1 is, of course, as always, it's never going to change, I don't care, sue me, Lionel Hutz and Troy McClure. Now, technically it would be Lionel Hutz is number 1. No, sorry, Troy McClure is number 1, Lionel Hutz is number 2. But for the purpose of not taking up 2 spaces on the list, I just combined them. So, Lionel Hutz and Troy McClure, we're never going to get these characters, I don't think. I'd be very surprised if they ever gave us both these characters, or either of these characters, because of course, when Phil Hartman was unfortunately murdered, they retired these characters, and thus, I don't believe they'll add them into the game just so they can stay in line with the show. Now, that being said, they have added these characters in the background in the past, and quite recently they gave us, I believe it was Troy McClure's face appeared on a text icon. So there is that slight possibility. I still kind of call it as unlikely, but if it does happen, I'll admit I was wrong, and that would be so awesome. I'll be so happy to get both the characters. I feel like because Tapped Out's a non-canon game and it's separate from the show, and you know it's not exactly as mainstream as the show, I think it would be alright. Like I don't see an issue with adding him as long as they don't obviously voice them. Obviously don't put voice on them, just kind of leave them as voiceless characters. I don't see the issue with that, but obviously it's down to the Tapped Out team, it's down to what the show says as well, and what license they have as well. I don't know the details about it, so maybe there is a good reason, maybe there's something in the contract to say that they can't add these characters. I'm not sure. They obviously gave us Lyle Lanley very briefly, and then he went away. I feel like if they were going to give us Lyle Lanley as a character, he would have stayed. But anyway, Troy McClure, Lionel Hutz are obviously my number 1. So that is my list of 40 more characters that I want in the game. There are others. There are like 2 others. The 2 others that I have are Lyle Lanley and Bender. But the reason why I didn't want to put Lyle Lanley on the list was because he's the same. He's the same reason why he's not going to be added as obviously Troy McClure and Lionel Hutz. It's the same reason why he won't be added. And then Bender, because I don't think they're going to add him purely based on on the whole rights basis. But I would like to have Bender in the game. Quite badly actually. He's appeared in the show a few times. Obviously not just in the Simpsons. Before that he made a few cameo appearances. I don't want the whole Futurama cast. I just want Bender. But I decided not to add him on the list just so he didn't take up a place. But yeah, those are the top 40 characters that I want to see in The Simpsons Tapped Out. So please tell me what characters you want. Any I missed, please do tell me. This was a big ass list, so I hope you enjoyed. Maybe next year I'll do. Do you know what? If they don't add, I'll give you something. So this time next year, someone will have to remind me because I will probably forget. So March the 7th next year. If by March the 7th next year they haven't given us 7 of these characters, of these top 40 characters, if they haven't given us at least 7, then I will make a top 80. That's right. So unless they give us 7 of these 40 characters, says, come on, Tapped Out, there's 7 to pick from. Unless we get them by the 7th of March, 2022, then I will do top 80. Not just top, not. I won't add another 20. I'll add another 40. Yeah, top 80. We'll do top 80. There you go. So I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next video. Goodbye.